the biggest challenge that most, agencies have is they hustle like crazy, bring on a new client, and that client is gone in 3 months.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the HighLevel Spotlight Sessions, where we showcase awesome marketers doing awesome marketing. Today, I welcome back Mike Cooch to the show. He's the founder of digitalmarketinglab.io. He's also one of the top HighLevel affiliates. Mike, thanks so much for coming back on to chat.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
So, Mike, I reached out to you the other day. I was like, hey, I got to get you back on the show because I get your newsletters and I love to follow along, see what you're talking about. So first of all, Mike, give everyone a little context if they don't know who you are. You're a coach, you had an agency. Tell us the whole deal.
Yeah, you bet. Yeah, I have been an entrepreneur selling to small businesses in particular my entire career. I'm really selling services to small businesses my entire career. And that started in the IT management and support industry. And that industry, when I got into it, was very, I would say, unprofessional in the small business space. And it was really just kind of, people driving around, working out of their cars, billing by the hour, pretty sloppy service. And I saw that as an opportunity and created a business in that space where we really tried to professionalize things and change how things were done, and built that up for about 9 years and had a successful sale of that company. And then I started in the marketing space. So I saw essentially the same opportunity in the small business marketing space as I saw in the IT space, in that it wasn't as unprofessional as the IT space, but there was all these agencies that were billing quite a bit of money and out of reach for most small businesses. So I started a business doing marketing services and built that up over a number of years, and then started training in the space as well, training in sales and marketing to help other people sell to small businesses and provide services to small businesses. And I've been doing that now for probably about 10 or 12 years or so.
Oh, wow.
And that's where we are now. And as you said, I'm a very big fan and supporter of HighLevel. I love what you guys are doing. And I love what it is bringing to the industry. And so I'm excited to be an enthusiastic partner of yours.
So let's hop into it, Mike. You sent out a newsletter the other day, and I love your insights and I love the things that you teach to your community. Especially, we don't have to go into it, but just to give you a quick idea for everyone who's watching, Mike talks a lot about selling things at scale, right? Not just trading time for money, but coming across products, aspects of HighLevel, angles, way to pitch things where you're selling things that scale, that run themselves instead of trading your time for your money, which I think is fantastic. But lately, Mike sent out an email and the subject caught my eye, and it was something juicy, controversial, like don't sell HighLevel SaaS or something. And I was like, wait, what is going on? Mike's one of our top affiliates. He's been all on board. And I'm like, what, did something change? So I click in
with a big red warning, don't sell HighLevel SaaS.
Yeah. So I was like, whoa, what's going on here? I click in and I watch the video, and it makes all the sense in the world. So Mike, you're talking a lot about, break it down. There's 3 columns here. It's an important distinction to make. I absolutely love it. Take us through it.
Yeah, sure. So, I'm disappointed that I haven't heard from Sean yet as well, because I created that title. I was like, oh, surely I'm going to get a call right away from him. I know he's busy. But yeah, so, one of the things that I learned very early on in selling to small businesses is that most small businesses cannot afford to pay you enough or pay you consistently enough for any sort of custom services, anything where, as you said before, where you're selling your time and expertise. If you're doing that for a big company, it can be a fantastic business model. You can charge big companies $350 an hour, $500 an hour, and they will literally sign on for commitments for entire teams of people at those price points for an entire year, let's say. So you've got this great, predictable, high margin revenue. You can afford to do custom work for them. With small businesses, that's certainly not the case. And
can we pause right there? Because I want to, this is really important, especially if you're young with your agency, because I feel like when agency entrepreneurs get started, they're really good at something, right? So they want to go that extra mile. They want to do the most amazing funnel or website or whatever. And so they go well beyond what they're getting paid for. And you get caught in this sort of cycle, because then your word of mouth referrals, this guy did this most amazing thing for me. And the next person's going to expect that bespoke custom experience, right? And so that turns into a trap.
That's right. That's exactly what I call it. I call it the agency services trap, where you've got some sort of skill set, or honestly, a lot of people in this industry, they just have hustle and they're smart, and they may not even have the skill sets yet, but they know that they can learn, and they'll just go out there and get it done. And it's so admirable. And that's what makes somebody good in a service business, is that they really want to hustle and work hard and take care of their customer. But it is a trap. If that is your business model, you will find exactly 0 case studies of people who have really gotten ahead doing that, because they never make enough money to really pull ahead. And so you and I, we know, and I could name a dozen off the top of my head, agency owners that have built up teams of people, and then all of a sudden one night threw in the towel, because they were like, I built up teams of people. I'm making just enough money to do that, but never enough to actually really escape this awful cycle of just trying to cover my overhead. And so thankfully, I learned that very early. And that's why in both my IT business and in my marketing business, I learned to take a different approach, which was creating really packaged services that I used as much as possible automation as I could for the delivery. And because of that, I had to create boundaries. I had to say, hey, look, this service comes with these things, and it does not come with anything outside of those things. And so you either sign up and that's a good fit for you, or you don't, which is a really, really different mindset from this, I'm going to bend over backwards and do these agency services. And so you mentioned the 3 columns. I break down the small business marketplace into those 3 columns that you're referring to. So one is agency services that we've already talked about. Part of the trap is that there is a very small percentage of small businesses out there that will pay you some sort of decent money to do a project for them. It's expensive to them, but they'll do it. They've got some budgets, that 50-person law firm or whatever it is out there. And then on the other end of the spectrum is what I call tools buyers. And so tools buyers are the people who say, hey, you know what? I can do this myself. I just need the tools to do it. So I'm going to sign up for the MailChimp or whatever it is, and I'm going to be the email marketing for my business, or I've hired somebody internally that's going to do that. And then there's in between that I refer to as systems buyers. And that is what I believe, and I've always believed, is the big opportunity for anybody who's watching this video, is that systems buyer. And the way I define a system, and it's not the way I define them. If you look up in the dictionary, it will say it's multiple components coming together to achieve something or solve a problem. And so that is exactly the way I think about it. Is most small businesses aren't going to pay agency fees. Most small businesses also don't have the time or expertise to sit down and use the tools, even if they wanted to. And so what they need is for us to bring things together in a system. Use the tools, but also use some of that knowledge that you have to create the campaigns on the tools, or build the landing pages the way they should be, or set up the Facebook ads the way they should be, and put that all into one package so that I can get what I need, so I can focus on my business, have this stuff working for me, but do it without paying those expensive agency fees that I can't afford. And so that's what that video was all about.
I think it's a really concise breakdown. And when you think about it, we're calling it SaaS mode, but watching Mike talk about this, it's really SaaS, S lowercase y, AAS, right? Like system as a service. And I think when you define system as things coming together and working together, it all makes sense. And that's exactly what we believe, is that we all know businesses need tools to succeed, but we also know that the businesses themselves are not capable of choosing the right tools, setting them up correctly, and making them work in the way that they need. They need a partner, an integrator of sorts. So if we know that, then you're the key, right? The agency is the key piece. You're the integrator. And so HighLevel, we're trying to give you the tools. You bring your knowledge, expertise, your intellectual property that you load into your snapshot, and together it becomes a system that, and let's talk about it real quick, recurring revenue. It becomes a subscription.
Yeah, it becomes a subscription. It also becomes dramatically more automated. It becomes dramatically more sticky because a tool, having that software as a part of your overall system, is a huge amount of leverage for you to deliver your services, one. But two, it's also when a customer is in there using that system and getting data populated into it and building habits around it, that's much harder to get rid of than just firing your service provider. To just get rid of the person who was doing X, Y, and Z for me and swap them out with another person. Now I've got this system that I'm using. And so it's a much stickier, just dramatically better business model than doing any sort of agency services. And layering your expertise on top of it is what separates you from the tools sellers. And that was my point in the video was don't go out and just sell software. Unless, and I say unless, because there are rare cases if somebody's got a big audience and they can just go out and say, hey, I'm the software platform, then that's awesome because they can get tons of subscribers quickly. And we've seen cases of that. But for most people, if you're out just selling to small businesses, you're going to be competing against these software tool providers that have $150 million raised to fund their sales team. You need something to differentiate your solution from just a tool provider. And that's what layering those various things to create a complete system is all about.
And it comes right back around, right? Because if you look at it again, the truth of it is businesses will sign up for tools. I need a tool to get this done. I'll go do the trial, I'll whatever. They fumble with it. It leads to frustration. And then they churn out of the tool, right? So yes, these giant software companies have tons of money, tons of salespeople to convince somebody to take the trial or to pay for a month. But the experience is not usually that great because they're not staffed and willing to spend the time as the integrator to really handhold the adoption. And that's what you are there to do. And so we really think it's just a perfect combination. It's the perfect intersection. And we think we're really going to change the industry by enabling, giving you these keys to become a systems provider. Mike, can you talk quickly about the pricing breakdown? I thought that was illuminating as well. So you had the 3 columns, you had tool buyers on the one side, you had the agency service buyers on the other, and then the systems in the middle with kind of price ranges of what each of those are willing to pay. And I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, it's really important. The one of the biggest factors in success in selling to small businesses is that your sales process has to match your service and service delivery. There has to be what I call alignment. There has to be alignment between how you sell, what you're priced at, how you deliver your services, the cost structure associated with that, to make everything work well. Because again, small businesses aren't paying you a fortune. So we've got to be as efficient as possible to strike that balance of having a price point that can give us the margins that we need to pay for our sales, marketing, service delivery, but also be low enough that a small business customer is going to sign up relatively quickly so our sales process doesn't get stretched out forever, and that they'll stick, right? That's so
most importantly.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest challenge that most agencies have is they hustle like crazy, bring on a new client, and that client is gone in 3 months. And you just can't make the economics work. You have to have customers that are sticking around for a year, 2 years, 3 years. And so there are certain price points that make that work. When it's a tool, just a strict tool, you will see, anywhere from $7 a month to $97 a month are the most common price points. Some more mission critical tools, $297 and even as high as $497 a month. But those are more rare. And then in the agency services, in order to even have a chance at making a model like that work at all, $2,500 a month, I would say, is the bare minimum you need to be charging to do anything kind of custom for a customer. And I'd love to see that more like $5,000 a month or something like that. So in between is this range for systems. I really believe that the best price range is in between 97 and $697 a month. I think is like a real sweet spot. But you'll definitely see people selling for up to $997 a month and even $1497 a month in cases. But I think in terms of sweet spot, it's really that 97 to 697 a month or so price range.
Yeah. And I think it falls right in line if you go sort of look at the charts where you can compare features of different, high level competitors and our feature set, and you stack up the price of all the competitors, you're going to come in that range, somewhere around probably, like you said, 300 to 1,000, I would say, somewhere in that range, in that sweet spot. And so if you're thinking about, all right, I need to start planning for my SaaS and what are we going to charge? That's the range where you want to be to sell a system. And I do want to loop back on Mike's point about the agency services. 2,500, I agree, minimum. 5K, that's really where you want to start if you're doing bespoke work. And if you're doing bespoke work and you're not getting anywhere near there, you're in the trap and you will burn out of that. And that's real. And I think that's important to hear it from someone like Mike, who's been doing this for long enough to look you right in the eye and tell you this is the case and you need to make a change. Because again, it feels great to deliver something great, but you got to be smart about it and have a really confined package, like Mike said. And if you want bespoke, I can do it, but you got to have the budget for it. And the truth is, when you listen to Mike's video, it hits you hard in the face. Most small businesses do not have that budget, right? And so a system is what they need.
Yeah.
Mike, before we go, off the top of your head, what are some of the other services that you talk about that you love that scale really well?
Oh gosh, I think that there are so many of them. So from the HighLevel platform specifically, there's about a dozen of them that I've identified that I'm a huge fan of. Very simple ones that we've talked about before in the past are like the missed call text back service. The far majority of small businesses don't answer their phone consistently at all. And those are just
powerful,
huge opportunities that are going away. I mean, a lot of small businesses, honestly, if you just put in a process for making sure that missed calls get captured and followed up on, I would assume you could probably grow most small businesses by 25% a year at a bare minimum, but you could probably make that 50 or even double their business just by doing that. Some of the statistics I've seen is that average small business misses 60% of their inbound phone calls. That's crazy.
Incredible.
Yeah, it's incredible. And so missed call text back, I think that is such a perfect example of, I can deliver an incredibly valuable service to a business that has nothing to do with my time and expertise other than setting up the campaigns to make that follow-up as effective as possible. But you do that one time and then you copy it for hundreds of customers, hopefully, right? So that's one of my favorites. One of the ones I'm a huge fan of that HighLevel is now making possible is the chat widget, putting that on somebody's website so you can start collecting leads for them. Related to that is your ability to now publish funnels onto WordPress sites like that. I think that is one of the most beautiful features you guys have created. I've now started doing that for all of my sites. All of my funnels are now built, right into my site. So you can easily add sales funnels to somebody's business without having to get all hands-on and in tweaking their website or in having them drive traffic to a different domain or anything like that. So these are all, services that, again, let's say I was just focusing on a specific industry, restaurants. I could create versions of those specific to the restaurant industry, create that snapshot, and when I bring on a new restaurant, turn those on just like that, provide incredible value and have almost nothing in terms of my time spent each month to provide that service. So
yeah, and I think
those are just a handful of examples, but
if you join Mike's community, he'll teach you how to put value to each of those, like dollar amounts to each of those things. And when you start stacking them together, you easily get to that 400 a month figure.
Oh gosh, yeah.
And I mean, you mentioned the chat widget. I think a beautiful service is building workflows now that will auto reply to the most frequently asked questions. I love if you go to a restaurant, like you said, and say, hey, what are the questions you get asked all the time? Do we have anything gluten-free? Do we have anything vegetarian? Are we kid-friendly? What if I put something on your website that would just answer those for you? Oh my gosh, that would save us so much time. Yeah. Boom. There you go. And you do it once and you're done. And so I think Mike is a treasure trove of those. So Mike, if people are listening, they like what they're hearing, where should they head if they want to learn more from you?
Yeah, I'd say probably the easiest way now, because I have my funnels set up on my site now. If you go to digitalmarketinglab.io/SaaS, SaaS, but that is systems as a service. But it's just SaaS, and you can get some more information there.
I think you got to find a way to coin, like, take over the SaaS, but make it visually understandable that it's a system. I don't know how, but I think you're onto something there.
Yeah.
Well, thanks again for coming on, Mike.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Thank you for all you do. As I said, I'm such a huge fan of HighLevel and the team. You guys are changing the industry and making it better for all of us, creating just amazing opportunities. I'm super appreciative of that. And I love working with you guys. So thanks for having me on.
Likewise, we really appreciate all the referral traffic you send our way. It's been a pleasure. Thanks everybody for watching. We will see you in the next one.
See you. Take care.